Welcome back. This is Jennifer, your host of Living Well with Sigma Humans. Today, we have a special guest in our midst, the incredible Amber Holmes, a seasoned nurse turned case manager at Sigma Humans, where Amber's unique journey brings a fresh perspective to our exploration of healthcare and well-being. Hello, Amber. Welcome to the Living Well with Sigma Humans podcast. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get here?
Thanks, Jennifer. I've been a nurse for 21 years this June, and I worked as a floor nurse probably 12 of those years. And although it fulfilled my heart at that time, I knew that there was more work that I could be doing for my patients in a different way. I didn't get to see that end result that I think I was wanting. And so I transitioned into a case management role that really put me into the home per se, as close as I could get from where I was as a nurse, and really got to make an impact on not only the patient that I was caring for, but their families, because navigating the health world when you're sick and it's your loved one, or you don't have support to help you, really made me feel like I was making a better impact in my career. So that's kind of where the case management piece came in, and it's just really important.
And what does a case manager do?
A case manager, I would be I'm a nurse case manager, so I have my nursing background that will always be a part of my assessment, in my tool bag. But a case manager role is really looking at what the patient needs outside of just their medical diagnoses and things that they work with the doctor. This would be how does your insurance work with the things that you need? What does it cover? What does it not cover? And then when there's gaps in your care or your needs, that case manager finds programs, they find resources for you to fill in those gaps to better serve your care.
And in your experience as a case manager, what are some common challenges you've observed people facing when it comes to understanding and navigating their health insurance?
I think the reason why a case manager role is important to be included in the Sigma Human membership is because there is a lot of pieces that, working in the field that I do now, I see people not understanding, for instance, how their insurance works. So if you were to need a referral for something that we needed you to go to get an imaging procedure or something that we couldn't provide, there are a lot of things that your insurance does require. You have to be in network with the facility and certain things. And I wouldn't want somebody to not understand that and then all of a sudden have a bill that they weren't expecting. So part of my role would be to make sure that their referral would be within network, that they understood how their insurance worked, and so that they weren't blindsided by anything, because there are pieces that will need to be more in depth like that. And a lot of times in my experience, you could call your insurance company and ask yourself, but even when we've had patients do that, they might not understand what to ask or to know what the follow-up questions when they do get an answer. And I would love to take that burden away from families and patients, because I understand that world and know what to ask. So that would be one piece that I would be able to offer. But then there's this other side where maybe you don't know what you need, but you're struggling in your home, for example. I would do an assessment, talk with the patient or the client, and really get to learn how they're doing. Being in the home gives you just a greater advantage to be able to see. As a nurse, you are always assessing the minute you walk into a room. That is just natural. And so there are so many things you can pick up on, little things that maybe other people wouldn't notice, but I might notice dishes in the sink. I might know, and it not be a housekeeping thing, but I might see that maybe it took you a little longer to walk from the table where we were sitting to show me what, is in your cupboard and what you would make for supper. I might pick up on those little things where I can see that maybe you could use a certain service in your home to help you. And it doesn't mean that you can't do those things, but sometimes we have to give that up so that way, and let somebody else help do the things that maybe are less important to our life, to really put in the energy and the focus back on your priorities and what you want to enjoy and do, and have the energy for that versus the things that maybe we could get some extra help in. Or maybe you need some therapy to come in the home, or just somebody to sit and visit because you're lonely. There's just so many opportunities, just me talking with somebody and get to know them and individualize their care so that they actually get what they're wanting. So many people they think they know what they want to get what the outcome that they're wanting, but maybe if we tweaked it a little bit, they would be happy with the outcome versus thinking that you are getting something or you need something and then realize, well, that wasn't working, that didn't help me, and now you're frustrated. Really, the goal is for me to take any of those burdens and help in a better way that's meaningful.
I think it is great that we're talking about assessing a patient's environment and lifestyle when it comes to home care, because that matters.
It could be home care. It could be maybe you need a certain piece of equipment in your home that would help you. Maybe you need a ramp, so that way climbing up the stairs to get into your house isn't so taxing on you. Maybe it is making sure that you have the grab bars where you need. Maybe you need a toilet riser so it's easier for you to get up, and do the things that you need to do, or a shower chair, or maybe you need to have certain things moved in your kitchen so that way you can manage better and feel that pride of just being able to take care of yourself, or to not struggle. And sometimes you just need somebody to care and really get to see you as a person and not somebody who's has a symptom or a disease process that's happening, but somebody who really just wants the best for you and meets you where you're at. And my job isn't to come in and change everything up the way that I see it to be needing to be. It is really to meet that patient where they're at and work with them.
Yes, so I know this is not a common thing. This is very unusual.
Because now I think in a clinic setting, you go to the doctor, you tell them what's wrong, they may give you a prescription for a medication, and they send you on your way. And at no fault of the doctors at all, in the clinic side, if they don't hear back from you, they assume everything's good until you're struggling at home, and you might see them when you're in crisis, or maybe at your next yearly visit, and realize that, things aren't actually going well. But the difference with this care is that there's going to be continual follow-up. So not only from Dr. Kuchek, he'll be seeing you regularly, there will be that follow-up as well from the case manager side to say, maybe it's a visit or a phone call to check on how that medication is working. Do you understand how to take that? Where that gives them the opportunity, if they are struggling with anything, maybe they are having, some side effects that they just don't associate with that medication change or don't understand what's happening, that gives that communication to me or to Dr. Kuchek where people just stay home and struggle, or they stop taking their medicine they just stop, or they take it the way they think they should take it, versus having somebody really come in and see what's happening and then be able to have that closer follow-up and either re-educate on, what is that everything is okay, or do we need to change something? It makes a big difference because you have that involvement with somebody who, as a team, we all have the best interest in that patient. We want the best outcome.
And so it sounds like your team, under the Sigma Human System, focuses more on preventive care than just responding to issues and making it more of a journey of continuing preventive care, right?
Yes, when you can look at a patient as a person and not look at treating a symptom or a disease, you get back to what really feeling good means. So for example, working on a sleep regimen, making sure that your nutrition is good and really good, not just microwavable meals because that's what's easy if you're not feeling well. Understanding what spiritually enlightens you and what you enjoy, and really working on that mindset piece of whatever that is. And it will be different for everybody, and it will be different throughout the journey. We never stay the same, or we shouldn't be in the same place as we grow and get older. And so really just always having that whole person in mind changes the way people feel. It changes what you can do as far as that holistic piece, because your body is an amazing thing. And if we can get back to healing that and making that feel really good, then the other stuff will fall into place. And if you need medicine, there's a time and a place for that. It just all has to work together. And that really is the difference between other healthcare systems, is because we look at that whole person.
Absolutely. And when we discuss this, it's important to note that everyone is different. Reactions, access to healthy options, and individual needs all vary. I can picture a family scenario where each member might have specific dietary restrictions or treatments, while another individual in that same family might be undergoing treatment for an entirely different issue. This is very far from a cookie-cutter approach, and it's highly personalized.
Right. And I think what we like to do as humans, make things very complicated. And then what happens is we get overwhelmed. And when we get overwhelmed, we either shut down, we give up, we think what's the point? And then we get into that vicious cycle of not doing anything. It almost is paralyzing to people. And really having somebody come in and show you that it doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. There are small little things that we can start doing that make a big impact. And when you can get somebody to see that and make that little change and see that impact, that you just build off of it. You don't need to do huge changes, because again, that just inhibits our purpose. And we need to feel good about the things we do. And so when you can have one thing that makes you feel like, yes, it was successful, I did this, I can do it, it's not really that bad. And then you just keep building off of that. And I think having that insight and having somebody just kind of take a step back and slow you down and say, it's okay, we can do this, we're here to support you. It empowers that patient, that person, that loved one, that caregiver to really be able to make their own changes that will impact themselves or their family. And that feels good.
I couldn't agree more with you. But when considering differentiating health goals, what would you say is the most significant advantage for patients between house calls and home care compared to visiting a doctor at a clinic or a hospital?
I think the biggest advantage of having in-home services is that we get to see what is actually happening. So you go to your doctor at the clinic, you sit in the office, we've all done it, and you're in there for, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and they only get to see what you allow them to see. So they have to take whatever the patient is telling them and try to piece things together and then build a care plan that's going to, match whatever they're told. But they see the person just sitting on that chair, and they're at the mercy of what they're being told and their experiences, and they try to make and do the best they can in that moment. But there's a lot of things that get missed. For example, when we go into the home and we see that maybe they've been in the same clothes for, a couple days, or maybe we see that they really don't have a lot of, options for food in their home, that maybe their medicine hasn't been picked up yet. Maybe they have been sleeping on the chair and not in their bedroom like they've been, the last visit. Why are you sleeping in your chair? Well, I feel short of breath when I lay down. Well, those are things that maybe you wouldn't be able to, if you didn't think about telling your doctor at that clinic visit, they wouldn't know. The doctor is not going to know if you don't pick up your medicine unless the patient tells them. Whereas being in the home, you get that personalized care because we want to know how you're eating. Did you get your medicine? Are you able to take your medicine like you're supposed to? Or are you getting good sleep? Are you getting the things that you need? And that happens naturally because we naturally are assessing our environment. And we are in tune to what the patient needs because we care. We want them to feel as if they matter because they do, but we want to give care as if they are our family. Because when you can give care to people like they're your family, that changes the quality.
One of the things I really appreciate about the Sigma Humans membership, particularly the family package, is how it goes beyond the usual coverage. It even includes taking care of my parents. Because I can tell you that as they're getting older, it's become crucial for me to ensure that they invest in a healthier retirement, and not just financially, but also in terms of their health. That's where having someone to coach them through aging into a healthier retirement, and not just focusing on managing their retirement funds, becomes truly priceless for me.
I think from the advantage point that we have, because we've been on the hospital side of care, we get to see that process happening, and where people maybe don't take good care of themselves, because that might not have been a priority. And we always think we have more time than we do, right? So knowing that if you can make changes on that front end, you will get to retirement. You will get to hopefully enjoy and be able to move and travel and do all the things that you hope to have in that retirement stage of your life. But it does take work on that front end to make sure that you're setting yourself up for that. And that's where that holistic approach really does impact your future, not only for your the next 5 years that you have, but 10 years, 15 years. We want your body to feel good so you can happily enjoy those moments, because you can't get that time back. And oftentimes when we realize, oh, I wish I would have done those things, it's usually when we are in crisis mode, or it's sometimes too late. You can't reverse some of these things that are happening. But if we would have made changes, earlier and been, healthier on that side and taken a different approach, maybe we could have had a different outcome. And it's really having that focus of overall health, not just treating, again, symptoms and disease processes. That whole person matters all the way through till retirement.
I really love the concept of investing in your health because, it's something we often overlook. Most times, we only think about doctors, medications, or hospital visits when we're sick. And it's usually during those times when we're so unwell that we can't function, the pain is overwhelming, or we're consumed by worry and concern, and sometimes a little bit too late.
We want to go to the doctor for them to fix it, right? We want to go there and say, this is happening, and we want them to be able to tell us what's wrong and give us some medication or fix it. And the truth is that we have an accountability piece to our health. They are there to help support us in that way and take care of us in that sense when something's going on that we need that assistance. But there is so much more that we could be doing for our own health that has a bigger impact on your journey and how you feel. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that we have that. We need to take that ownership back on what we can do for our health, right? We always want that it to be somebody else's responsibility, and because it's hard work, and worrying about your health, putting yourself back on that priority list is hard. And it's hard to do it alone. And most people that I talk with end up they kind of throw in the towel because it's hard when you're by yourself. But when you have a team that is there to help and support you along the way, and you have easy access to that, burden of being alone is gone, and you can make those changes that are necessary. And then you can really truly be a team, a part of your team. Like your patient, as a patient, you should be a team member. It's not just the doctor. It wouldn't be just the case manager. You're part of our team, because what you want and what your outcomes are really truly in your hands. We will do everything we can to help support you, but it really comes down to what patients are willing to do for their health and their future.
That is true. We often view healthcare as something for when we're sick, overlooking daily considerations like our steps, our calorie intake, and what we eat. So in that sense, why do you think Sigma Humans is the best proposal for patients today? And what do you think Sigma Humans brings to people that is outstanding and better for patients?
To have a team that really cares about your outcomes, your health, how you feel as a whole, it matters, because we can help navigate what really is, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and really kind of just clean that up to, again, individualize that for what your outcomes are, what your goals are. And we can listen to that and really help you through that process. We always think we're not doing it right, that we're failing, that if we don't get the outcomes that we're wanting, we're something must be wrong. And really, you're doing things right. It's just that you need to be reminded that you're doing good and that you're doing everything that you need to be. Sometimes we just need more patience with our health. It's our body. It sometimes what we did a year ago worked, and now something's different. It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. We just need to pivot and do something different to get whatever that outcome is that you're wanting. But we just think we're failing, and to have somebody really support you in that and remind you that you are doing a great job it just impacts what the patient is capable of doing when they feel supported, and that they feel that they can take pride in themselves and really just succeed and be happy. Because the goal, we're here to live. We only have a short amount of time. It's not really that long if you think about it. Time goes by so fast. And to just get the maximum quality of life that you can would be so amazing if we could do that for everybody.
Absolutely. And when we discuss this, it's important to note that everyone is different. Reactions, access to healthy options, and individual needs all vary. This is very far from a cookie-cutter approach, and it's highly personalized.
I think what we bring that's different is that you're going to feel that you matter, that we understand you, that we know your story, that we know that what your past, what your current state is at now, what you enjoy, what you have passions, troubles you, what causes anxiety or sadness. We'll know all of that with our care for you. In knowing your story, it allows us to adapt or individualize your care really to the point that you will feel like you actually matter, that what you say to us matters, and that we will work and meet you at that point of where you're at now. Because sometimes we don't share our story with our doctor or the people that are caring for us because that's, we just don't think that that's important. But it does. It allows us to see you and hear you. And that changes everything.
Is there anything else you think we should know?
I think we need to maybe quick talk, and I'll try to keep it short, on like the healthcare power of attorney and that piece of it.
Sure, tell us more.
So part of what I would be making sure with all of our patients is that they understand what a power of attorney is, the state laws for the power of attorneys, and why it's important, and to navigate that piece of it, because we often think, at least in the state of Wisconsin, that we just can't, our spouse is our decision maker if something happens. But the state of Wisconsin, their laws are different. We have to have paperwork that actually states who is that person. That is really to make sure that patient's rights are, it's to protect their rights, basically, from somebody just coming in and saying that they're the decision maker. So there's reasons why the laws are the laws, but nonetheless, it's important, because if you don't have one and something happens to you and you need decisions made, then your family or your loved one has to go to court and get guardianship, and that delays those decision-making abilities. It's a financial burden sometimes for people, and to alleviate that on the front end is super important. But a lot of times it's because we just don't know. We just have, why would we? It's not important in the moment for us until we're in that situation. But also, as we age, or as our parents age, or grandparents, whoever we're caring for that's under this membership, there's things that need to be thought of for their future care. And part of my role as the case manager would be to make sure that we have that plan far before crisis hits and we need something. That would be the goal. Now, some things are unpredictable, and even in those settings, you'd have somebody there to support you through that. But really, to just have that forward thinking always for you or your loved one, to make sure that you had a plan thought of in a moment when you weren't in crisis. When things happen, you go from, somebody could be very sick, your loved one could be very sick, or something really bad happen, and you're trying to deal with that emotion. And now you have people asking you all these questions that you really don't want to answer, because all you care about is being at the bedside with your loved one. And that's not the greatest time to be worrying about your plan in that moment. And if we can have that done ahead of time, it just, hopefully you'll never need to use it, but it does make it a lot easier on everyone when that's taken care of. And so that's just having that person there to have that forward thought for your care So it's not just about the care in the moment, although we strive to have good quality care in the present moment, but it's really looking forward and making sure that we can plan for good quality care when you're not worrying about that, like your future retirement stage, whatever that is for you. So that would be part of what I would be doing.
I think it's truly invaluable when you talk about scenarios like hospitalizations, where the family plan plays a crucial role in understanding and ensuring continuity of care. And it's comforting to know that Sigma Humans goes beyond the clinical setting and offers a supportive, family-centered approach that addresses not just immediate health needs, but that also fosters long-term well-being, right?
Right. And when we have a patient, and if there was something that happened that was where the patient would have to maybe go in to be in the hospital, and we know that his wife is at home and she has certain cares, knowing exactly that's where that membership and having that family plan is super important, because we would already know what your wife needed at home while you were in the hospital. We would already know that these things are needed to be done, or what her care is. But not only that, we would know what your care is and what might be needed for when you're out of the hospital, and have that support for you and your wife, or vice versa, or your parents. I mean, how many people live next to their parents? Some people, their kids are not even in the state that they are in. And so sometimes it's just nice to know that your loved one, if something were to happen and your parents end up in the hospital or need something, or even go to the doctor and get a medicine change, you don't have to worry that they're going to come home and not understand something, or not take their medicine, or maybe, not get the things that they need. But when you have Sigma Humans as your care team, you don't have to worry about your parent or your loved one, because you have a good team that cares and wants to provide that level as if they were our family. And it just takes that it's just nice to have that feeling that you don't have to worry. And because we know that it's hard when you're not next to them. You can't just jump in the car and drive over 2 minutes and check on your mom. But you know that you have a good team that will take good care of her.
I find this incredibly valuable because as a family member, you typically don't have the option to call a doctor for a follow-up on how the visit with my parent went.
Right. And a lot of times you are, when crisis happens, maybe you are a child, and an adult child, and you don't live with your parent, and you know that they, just went to the doctor or just got discharged from the hospital, and you can't just call and get updates because, it's too hard to do. There's rules to that. And we still have to abide by those rules as well. But when you have that relationship with your clients or your patients, and they want their families involved, we can help navigate what their actual care needs are and what the plan is. And actually sometimes the hardest thing I think I come across is when maybe there's a difference in what the patient wants versus their family. And it's hard when you love somebody and they're making choices that maybe you don't understand. Part of our care is to navigate you through that, helping you understand maybe why they're wanting what they're wanting, and help work through that. And sometimes you don't get that with other healthcare providers because they go to the doctor and they leave and come home, or they're just, you don't have that connection. And really helping bridge that so that families can really all be on the same page and understand. I think that's probably a huge gap, because then when you're in crisis and that happens, there's way too many emotions happening. And then it makes it really hard to do what the patient really wants when you're trying to deal with all those emotions.
Your perspective is truly impactful, Amber, especially for patients navigating conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's. I can empathize with all the difficulties that family members face while relying on any fragmented information that may be coming back with the patient. And wow, it is clear to me that Sigma Humans is a bridge that provides continuous connection and support, not only for immediate care but also through challenging transitions. And that is a source of relief and assurance for sure.
Yeah, I think so. You can't be there all the time, right? And so when your family member goes to see a doctor and you ask them how it went, they may only have understood part of it. They may have only heard part of it. If they have some, a hearing deficit that, makes it a little bit harder for them to catch everything. Maybe a lot of the information was overwhelming and they just didn't, maybe remember what they heard, and you're only getting bits and pieces as that secondhand from your family member. But when you have Sigma Humans and we are available and we can answer those questions, and when there's any gaps in that, we're going to be here to build that bridge. And that brings in quality care just in that piece alone, because the patient then can understand really truly what's happening. They can become that active team member when they fully understand what their plan is, what the treatment course is, what their expectations are, what our expectations are as far as their team member, and then their family's role and how do they help them. So if they maybe are diabetic and shouldn't be, brought in, chocolate chip cookies every time Susie comes to visit, maybe there's a different way to show your love in a way that's a lot, better for them. So there's it just again comes to treating that whole patient versus just one little snapshot of time in a clinic office.
I find it comforting to know there are options for personalized care, because we all know that in many conventional medical settings, these interactions often become cold and impersonal routine exchanges of greetings and prescriptions, and they are missing the crucial understanding of the person behind the patient. This deeper connection can be transformative in providing more effective and personalized healthcare.
Yeah. And it's not at fault of the doctors at the clinics or in the other settings. It is not that. It's just the nature of that beast, I guess, in lack of better words. It is. It's not knowing that's that patient's story, and do the best you can with the information you have. But when you get to be in their home and meet them and know them and develop that relationship, you can get a better understanding and really get down to the root of what is causing their healthcare issues. Because really, sometimes it is some of the easiest fixes that can be made, that if we were to have saw that sooner or be involved, we could have picked up on that and made those changes. So that way, maybe down the road, they wouldn't have some of, their medical issues if we would have just made some of those easier changes on the back end.
Thank you so much, Amber, for shedding light on the vital role of case managers at Sigma Humans. This episode has been incredibly insightful, and your expertise is truly appreciated.
Thank you, Jennifer. It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners who want to learn more, please visit our website at sigmahumans.com. And remember that your health is your wealth. So take care, stay healthy, and keep thriving with Sigma Humans. Goodbye for now.